Hello, hello, hello everyone. Please confirm me in the chat that you can see me and that you can also hear me. All right. So for now, I see 9 people online, which is, I suppose, fine. By the way, all right. So you need to enable the notifications on your channel. So like that, you will always receive the notification when I start the live. And each time I will try to let you know, like the week before or the day before, I will let you know what we will be doing during the session. All right, so yeah, I guess we can also wait 2 or 3 other minutes until we see other people. So like maybe others will join. All right. So meanwhile, how are you doing? So first of all, like I'm really happy that you joined me, and I'm really happy that you trust the content that I'm providing, and also I'm very happy to start this with you. So to be honest, like to be open with you, this is the first time I do such things. So like I did before some live streamings and live codings, but this is the first time I do it for members only. So it's gonna be something nice, and I promise that we will do something really great together. So as I mentioned, like we will just wait a few other minutes, maybe some other people will join, and then we can start, or like we will introduce and bootstrap this bootcamp. And I will start by telling you what we will be building, how we will do it, and all the details and all the questions that you already asked before. And we will put the plan for this bootcamp, and then we will officially start. And because like today it's gonna be mainly a discussion between us to explain things. If you have questions about like any kind of questions, I will try to answer everything, especially the questions that are related to this bootcamp. Also for the people that do not have the ultimate version of IntelliJ. So for example, because the last time on Discord, some of you told me that whether you're a student, you have a student license, or you have your own license, and so on and so forth. But for the people who do not have the ultimate version, as I mentioned, like I will give you 3 months free for like IntelliJ license to start with, and like to be able to code in the same way that I'm doing. All right. So do you have any questions before we start? Do you have any questions? Just feel free to ask me any question you have in your mind. I will try, as I mentioned, I will try to answer everything, and to make everything clear for you. Any questions? Guys, I need you to be reactive and proactive. So this way we can have a better output of this bootcamp, on also like of this application, and this like what we will be doing and learning all together. So by the way, do you still hear me, or there is a problem with like the voice or the sound? Is everything okay? Okay, so I think there is no problem with the voice, so everything is fine. Okay, so just a second. Okay, so yep. Okay, so maybe let's start. Let's start with a few questions. Okay, so the first one, can you do a recap about the application? Yes, we will have a recap, and they will tell you. They will describe what we will be building together. So I will do it in just a few minutes. So here, a question from Richard. We are not building the system at one stretch. I mean, just today, right? No, like we will be building the system like on many times or like on many steps. So it's not like technically it's impossible to build it in just one session. So it's gonna take more, as I mentioned before. All right. Will you provide? Yeah, of course. Like we will have the repository, and you will have access to the code. So like the repo will be public, so like you can get it. Also for the license, I will show you now how you can redeem your license. All right, so let's start with this. All right, so first of all, to start and like how you can redeem your 3 months license from IntelliJ. So the first thing, all you need to do is to go to this website, which is jetbrains.com/store/redeem. I will paste the link in the chat right now. So like now you can see it in the chat. And then you use this promo code, which is Ali. You can, by the way, if you want to share this promo code, it's totally fine. If you have friends that they need this license, and then you fill up your first name, last name, email address, the region, and then here you have two options. Like with this coupon code or this redeem code, you can whether choose an IDE or a tool or a plugin or like a paid plugin if you want to. So for example, like for people who have already their own license and they want to use one plugin, like for example the AI plugin from IntelliJ or anything like that, you can also use the same code to redeem any product from JetBrains. So here let's focus on the tools and IDEs. And then all you need to do is from the product, just select IntelliJ IDE Ultimate and then click on redeem, and you will receive an email with a link or like with a license that you can use to use IntelliJ for free for 3 months. But before you do that, I really recommend something. So like within IntelliJ, the ultimate version, you already have 1 month for free, like a trial, or like 1 free month to try the IntelliJ or like to try the IDE. So I would suggest that you redeem the code once you're done, or like once you finish with the first month, with the first trial month. So in this way, you will have the ultimate version free or like for free for minimum 4 months. All right. So this is what I recommend. All right. So like, do you have any question about this? And here also, like, I will paste the coupon code. For 3 months free JetBrains tool. So like it's for any tool that you want. Just use Ali as mentioned in here, and you will get your free license. All right. So do you have any questions, or even if everything is clear, just type me clear, or like everything is fine in the chat, so I just know and I make sure that everyone got the information correctly. Is everything fine? All right. So just okay, clear. Everything is clear for everyone. That's good. Okay. So now what we will do is the following. All right. Okay, so now we will start. Okay, so what about if I use an IntelliJ license? Sorry, let me just go back to the chat and try to answer this question. So from Carlos, what about if I'm using an IntelliJ license? You mean that if you have your own license, that's totally fine. You can use it. But as I mentioned before, like this is something that I'm offering, especially for the members that who want, like the members that who join this bootcamp. So this is an offer from me that you can use any JetBrains tool, like any IDE you want, anything you want, just you can use it. You can use it for free. Just if you have your own license, I think you don't need to go through these steps to redeem a 3 months for free, since you have already a license. But for example, if you are paying monthly, for IntelliJ, you can stop it for 3 months and use this 3 months license, and then come back to your old one. But if you already have a license, I think it doesn't make sense to do this change. All right, so if everything is clear for everyone, now I guess we can start with the application that we will be building. All right. Okay. If you have any question, just please post it in the chat, and I will try to switch from here and there, because today, as I mentioned, it's gonna be like an open discussion between me and you to clarify and to make everything clear. Also, like clarify how this bootcamp is going to be, what we will be doing, how we will be implementing things, and all this stuff. So if you have any kind of question, please just go ahead and ask them, and I will be happy to answer all your questions. All right, so now we can start with this one. So about the application that we will build in this bootcamp, or during bootcamp. All right. So here I've been thinking too much about this topic, because I want to provide you with something valuable. All right. So here, what I thought about, or like what I found really valuable, is we want to focus. So what we want to do is we want to focus on learning. All right. So we want to learn how to implement an application. All right. So maybe let me type. It's better and faster. So like what I want to focus on is how learn how to implement an application. So implementing an application, like the most important thing is, how can I start from scratch? How can I start implementing my application from scratch? All right. So to answer this question, like we need to go through a process. This means that there are things that we need to take care of, things that we need to think about in order to implement an application. Because implementing an application it's not just about writing code, but thinking how the application should be. And here I'm not talking technically. I'm not talking about the code that we will write. It's even out of the technology, but how should I proceed when I want to implement a new application? All right. But for this bootcamp, like specifically for this bootcamp, what I thought about, so here, like the business, for this case, the business is not important. So like I don't want to implement, or like I thought that implementing a huge application, like with a lot of business features and all this stuff, it's fine, it's good, but it will not really give us the real value of a bootcamp. This means what? This means that having more features does not mean that we will learn something amazing or like something exceptional, but learning how to design an application, how to implement an application, how to put the best practices all together in order to make an application robust, to make my application, or like to have an application that supports an important load, how to make my application fast and even faster. This is what I want to teach you. But like, don't worry, we will be implementing a full application. All right, so like it will not be just separate topics, but we will see so many topics, but within an application. All right, so why I'm telling you that, because like I remember always from the comments and from the feedbacks from the community, people are always asking to implement really complex applications, how to do this, how to implement this kind of business and all this stuff. But what I want to do in this bootcamp is to teach you how to implement, or like how to design an application. All right. So what I really thought about is to implement a simple, or like a game store. All right. So like this game store is something like, all right. So it's gonna be something like having a PlayStation store. All right. So what we will have here. So it will not be a clone, to be clear. It will not be a clone, but something like that. So here, what we want to have. So here, we want to an admin, for example, an admin user can upload games. All right. So like games here, I just talk about like the information, or like basic information of a game. Okay. It's not the game itself, because it's gonna be something else, but the basic information of a game, like the picture, or like the picture, the title, some details, and so on and so forth. Also here, a user. So like here, I'm just writing this like uppercase, just to see, like, because from now I want to introduce the user's levels. So a user can see, or like can see the games. He can also interact with the community of gamers, for example. He can, maybe, let me put it in this way. Yeah. So interact with the community. Also, what he can do, add a comment to the game, to a specific game, to a game. Also, he can manage his preferences. And here, managing his preferences, because why I want to say that. So here, when adding a comment to a game, a user should receive a notification or an update if a new comment is posted. All right. So for example, it's gonna be something like when you are on Facebook or Instagram or any social media, and you are interested in some post or a picture or something like that, you add a comment, and then like you will receive a notification that XYZ has already added a comment to that one. All right. So this is what I mean. So a user should receive a notification if a new comment is posted, and here the user can manage his preferences. So here, when I say a notification, so I think it's important to clarify. So here we talk about real-time notification and email notification. All right. So like we will be sending an email, and at the same time, we will notify the user immediately with a real-time notification that someone has or added a comment to his post, or like to a game that he is interested in. So here, for example, manage his preferences. So for example, enable or disable the notifications. All right. So like he can say, for example, I don't want to receive any any more notifications if a game or like if a new comment is getting added to a game or something like that. So here, adding or like something this way. So adding a comment or like interacting with the game requires a connected user. All right, a connected user. And here we will see something important when it comes to Keycloak. So when it comes to Keycloak, we will see something important, because what we implemented before, and also like the videos that I posted on my channel when it comes to Keycloak, so we are securing almost everything, like all the routes and all the UIs on the application. So now we will see how we can only secure parts of that. All right, so like how we can secure and check if this part needs the user to be connected. Like for example, on any open on any application, you can see few things, you can do anything, you can search, you can do whatever. But when, for example, you want to add a comment, or like you want to purchase something, or we want to do something, you will be, if you are not logged in, you will be automatically redirected to the login page. So this is what we will see, how to secure parts of the application and not the full application. Of course, like we can say that this part, or like this page or this URL should be 100% protected, but we will see how we can just protect some parts of the application. All right, so here we mentioned like just to recap, an admin can upload games, basic info of a game. A user can see games, interact, add a comment, receive notification, manage his preferences. And also here, like this is a specification. Adding a comment requires a connected user. And here I'm adding this for you, like Keycloak and email notification, real-time notification. But I will explain to you just in a few seconds how we can start from something like this, from a raw description of an application, and how we can develop the application and make it and like bring it to life. All right, so here, like now we will not be talking about technology, about things that we want to do, but how to start from this until designing the application that you want to build. All right, because as you can see here from the title, the application seems to be really simple. So it's not complicated. Like if you ask anyone, can you please implement a game store for me? So what he will do, he will just start by coding, having an entity, presenting to the database, finding all, and so on and so forth. But there are really so many things hidden behind. All right. So here we said adding a comment, also searching for a game. Also maybe with what we can do, having a wish list of games. And also for example, if a user is searching for a specific game and the game is not yet available on the platform or on the store, so for example the admin did not add this game yet, so what we can do is we can implement a mechanism or a system that will notify the admins, or like the managers, or like anyone with a high level of the application, hey, someone is looking for this game. And once the game is created, we can notify the user, or like the users that that they were looking for this game. So for example, I don't know, like you are on an e-commerce website and you want to buy a product, but the product is out of stock, for example. But here, like the thing, when the product is again has available stock, you receive an email telling you, like I don't know, like 3 days or 4 days ago you searched for some product, but this product is now available, so now you can go and buy it. So here what we will do, we'll do something similar to this one. It will not be exactly the same, but I will tell you how we thought about it, and we can also develop and implement it together. All right, so how to write what I just said. All right, so having a wish list, or okay, user can request a new game, for example, and here I will just add some details. So requesting a new game. So here an admin will be notified, and then when the game gets, or like when the game is added to the store, the user is notified. All right, so the user will be notified. So please let me know if my picture is if my picture is hiding some of the text. Just let me know so I can move it away. So also, can you see the writing? Should I make it bigger? Everything is clear. Just like, guys, interact with me, okay? I would like to be to interact with me and tell me if something is not okay, so I can do it. I can fix it. All right, so here, searching a game, having a wish list, a user can request a new game. So what are the other features that we can do? So for example, what we can have a light and dark mode for the application. For example, I want to have a dark mode and a light mode, and everything should be everything should be perfectly looking fine. What we can also do, yeah, I guess for now this is fine, but we can add so many other features in the future, and like once we start implementing the application. So first of all, just this is what I'm proposing, or like this is what I propose for this bootcamp. And as I mentioned, it's like the most important part is not about the application itself, but how to design an application. So now, if you have any questions, it's time to start asking your questions. Otherwise, we can move on, and I can start telling you and explaining how to move from this to an application. Okay, so yes. Yeah. So here I see that someone said a user can change profile picture. Yeah, of course. Like here, so let's add it here. All right. So here, a user can manage his profile. All right, so like adding pictures, changing the profile, doing everything. So we will also like have this one. So thank you for reminding me. I just forgot about it. So do you have any other questions? Do you have any kind of questions? Any questions before I move on? All right. So if you don't have questions, I will continue. Okay. Yes. So here, so Sergey, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name in the wrong way, but here we have a question from Sergey. He said, can the user see the games by category filter or like filtering? Yes. So this is in the search, or like searching for a game. So now I will start with this part, and then you will see that from these few lines of code, what will be the application that we will implement all together. All right. Okay. Yeah. Nice. I remember you, Sergey, from LinkedIn. Okay. So now let me tell you something really nice. So like you see here for this application, which seems to be really simple. So like it's a game store, all right? So like we want to implement something like this. So like I'll just move a bit away to draw something. So we want to have a UI just like this. So like a simple UI. I want to have, so for example here, a user profile, something like this. I want to have some buttons here, a logout button here, and a search bar in here. And for example, like I can have here the hamburger menu, just to make to show and hide the menu. Here we will have some categories. So here just a picture and the text, picture and the text, and so on and so forth. And here we will have a game or like game cards. All right. So like we will have the game, we will have the title here. We will have some description and also like the category or like the supported consoles and so on and so forth. So like this is the application that we will implement. All right. So like this seems so simple, right? So this seems very, very, very easy. So also what we can do, for example, here we can have like a grid view or a list view. All right. So we can also have this, like we can support both. It's totally fine. And also here we can have a light, like just to have a light or like a dark theme, something like that. Let's not focus on this. But from this, like I'm 100% sure, or let me be more realistic, I'm 99% sure that you will see, okay, this is a really simple application. All right, so this is a very basic application. I just need to create some entities into the database. In the database, persist the games, fetch the games, and that's it. But here, really trust me that we will be implementing something really nice, and you will see that a simple application or like few lines of code or like few lines of a specification of an application can provide a robust or like a huge architecture for the application. All right, so let's start with this. All right, so let's start with this. So here we said like we want to implement a PlayStation or like a PlayStation Store like. Okay, so like kind of a clone, if we might say so. So here we said an admin can upload games. So let's come back to this later. All right, we will come back to this later. A user can see the games. He can interact with the community, add the comments, should receive notification, manage his preferences, adding a comment, requires, and so on and so forth. So here I would like to ask you a question before I give you the answer. How would you start with this? Like how would you design the application just from this one? All right, just from these few lines of code, how would you design the application? Okay. Just meanwhile, to answer Osborne, are you going to create a separate admin dashboard to manage the application? Yes, we will be creating dashboards. We'll be creating so many cool stuffs. But now I will move to the chat, and now I would like you to answer the question I already asked. So here, how like from these few lines of an application specification, how would you design the application? Try to write in the comment how you think about what are the things or like the building blocks of this application. How would you do it? I will be waiting for your answers, and then I will give you mine. But don't worry, like starting from the next session, everything will be more organized. Today I just wanted to introduce you to the application, the importance of designing or like a well-designed application. But starting from the next week, everything will be much clearer and more in details. And also we will be following we will be following a plan to implement everything. All right, but now let's just keep it a free session for us. All right, so I'm waiting for your answers, by the way. I will not move until you give me some suggestions. Okay, I will not move forward until I get some answers. All right, okay. Right, so here CD, he said I will see all the use cases and users. Okay, so we start with the use cases. Okay, nice. Next, Herman, on identifiant tout d'abord les acteurs. Like, just to translate this, he said like first we start by identifying the actors of the application, which is okay. Which is also fine, but also Herman, please, if it's possible, to post the question in English so like everyone can understand. And then the user cases, or like then the user cases. Okay. Any other suggestions? For the others, like I see we have 8 connected people. So please go ahead and give me what you think, how we can proceed with this application. So like, I'm a customer and I would pay money for you to implement me such an application. I don't know anything about IT, how to implement an application, and I just give you these few lines. So this is the idea that I have in mind. I want to implement an application like a PlayStation Store, all right? And I tell you, I want an admin to be able to upload games. So like upload, this is the way I would describe it, by the way, okay? As a customer, all right? As a customer who does not know anything about IT and how to implement or like how to code an application. And then I tell you, okay, so for the users, they can see the games, they can interact with the community, add a comment, they should be notified, like in Facebook, for example, when someone else adds a comment to an application that they are interested in, manage the preferences, adding a comment. So also, like he mentioned that before adding a comment, the user should be connected, a user can search for games, a user can have a wish list, a user can request a new game, and then like me as admin, for example, I want to be notified, and when I create the game, the user should be also notified. A user can manage his profile. I want to have a light and dark mode in my application. How would you think about this application? How would you implement this application? This is what I want to know. All right, so I will go again through the comments. All right. Sergi, he said, if this is possible, I think that subtitles should be activated for some. To be honest, if this is an option on YouTube, I will try to search for it, but I really don't know how to activate subtitles. I think they are automatically activated. So just please let me know if this is something that I need to do from my side. Just let me know and I will do it. Okay. Okay, so guys, I'm really waiting for your answers. All right, so like now like you will see a different version of Alibu. So it's not the same Alibu who is posting videos. So now we are interacting all together. So I want you to be proactive. I want you to give me feedback. I want you to answer my questions and so on and so forth. So this is what a bootcamp is. All right, so it's not just me doing some video style. So I just need you to interact with me. Okay. Okay, so here Prasad, he said different login view based on the actor roles. Okay, yeah, that's acceptable. So we can think about this. Then Richard, he said, I will try to model each entity. Okay, that's fine. Then Osborne, I will think of the different technologies needed to carry out the application. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's also fine. Other things, if you are done, or like if you have no further ideas, just tell me I'm done, like, or like we are done, I don't have any more ideas about this, so I can know that I can move on. I would like to see the other. I don't know who is joining, so like I don't see the names of the joiners, or like of the people who are assisting right now, but I see only like 2-3 people interacting with me. Please, the others, try to interact. But it's up to you, of course. Like if you just want to follow up or like to follow, it's totally fine. But I just want you to be more proactive. Anything else? Okay, so I will suppose that okay, no more options from your side. Okay, so now I will go back here, and now I will let you know. Okay, I see another comment from Prasad. We need to think about HTTPS. So this is security. Okay, yeah, we need to, of course, like we need to think about security. Okay, designing the database. Okay, I will go back to the chat just to highlight the messages. So Prasad, he said, We need to think about HTTPS. Yeah, this is valid. Also security. And then after I will start by designing the database model for such an application. Okay, this is totally fine. What you said is not false, it's totally correct. But I will show you now how I would go for it. All right, I will show you now how I would go for designing an application. So I receive a request, as I mentioned, and now I will go ahead and design the application. All right, so first things first. So what I want to have. So here I need, first of all, I need to identify the keywords. All right. So here we have an admin. User can upload games. Okay, so upload games means that the user wants to create games. Okay. And then user can see the games, interact, add a comment, blah, 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 blah. So here, the first thing that I want to identify is a game. All right. So here, now I will discuss and interact with the customer. How do you define a game? So like a game for him is defined with a few attributes like a title, maybe a description, supported platforms, and a picture, and so on and so forth. Also, he mentioned that a user can manage his profile. Okay, a user can manage his profile. So like when we talk about a profile, first name, last name, and so on and so forth. Also, adding a comment required a connected user. All right, so this is another keyword. Then I have something like this. A user should receive a notification. So here, before like I put this into brackets, it was just for you in the beginning. I like normally, or like I shouldn't do it from the beginning, but I did it. Okay, but here I see notification. So I need to implement something like a notification system. All right. Okay, so also manage his preferences. So like we have something like preferences, which might be related to this one. All right, preferences is related to a notification. So enable or disable the notification. Then what do we have else? Searching for a game. All right, so like here I have searching for a game, having a wish list. So wish list I will ignore for now. So here a user can, I will ignore this one too. I will ignore also this one. But from these few keywords that I just identified, what should I do? So here I will start by having this. So this will be my application. All right. So this will be my application. So my application needs to connect to a database. So what you said about having a database is valid. So, but how the database is gonna look like, it's not my problem in the beginning. So I really don't care how the database or like how I would design or the database will be designed. So it's not my problem. But here I need to highlight few things. So here, as I mentioned, upload the game, create a game. So with the game, we have few information like title and all this stuff, and we have a picture. So we have a file right here. All right. So we have a file. So having a file here and having also for the profile. So this means we have also a file here. So a picture or like any type of file. So this will drive me to a question. So like I will add an interrogation mark in here and an interrogation mark in here. So when I say a file, I need a way to store my files, right? So I need to store my files in an efficient way. So here I can think about so many ways. I can store the files into the database. I can store them into or in the server itself. So I can have my files in here within the application. Okay, but we know that files might be a little bit or like they might have an important size. All right, and we know when it comes to front-end applications, any technology, Angular, React, HTML, and so on and so forth. So here, one of the things that I need to take care of is loading the data. All right, loading the data. I'm not talking about the data which is coming from the API, but loading what we call the static data, like pictures, like files, like media, and so on and so forth. All right. So here, if I will load the information or these files or these pictures from the application from here, So here what I will do, I will connect to the API, to the application or to the API. The API will go and fetch the data from the database or read the file from the file system. All right. So reading from the file system or the database might take time. All right. So like imagine having I don't know, like 1 million users connecting to the application at the same time. Imagine fetching this data 1 million times per second. All right. So like, let's suppose we have 10,000 users connected to the application. Okay. Guys, just let me know, do you still hear me? Because I see a notification that maybe something is wrong with the stream. Can you still hear me? Just confirm before I move on. Is everything fine? Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned here, so let's go back to our topic. So as I mentioned here, fetching these files, and also here when we fetch something, we are not just fetching the files but the data. But let's ignore the data that we are fetching for now. So when we fetch the files, so like the files, they have an important size first. So imagine having all this, or like trafficking all these files through the network. So this is gonna cost. This is gonna cost us time, and time equals performance. So here when we say time equals performance, the performance of the application, and when the performance is down, so we have less users. All right. And when the performance is up and the application, of course, like is doing something, like it has a value which attracts users. So here I have plus users. I have more users. All right. Because imagine like when you go on a website, but when you, okay, how to say that? So you are using this website or this application, but the application is too slow. All right. It's very, very slow. Personally, I won't use this application anymore. I will stop using it. If I'm paying to use, like especially if I'm paying to use the application, even if I'm not paying for it, if the application is slow, is the performance of the application is not fine for me, if I'm not getting my result or my page displayed in a few milliseconds, or like even let's say seconds, let's say 1 or 2 seconds, all right, or even let's go up to 3 seconds. But if the application is not responding after 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I will no longer use the application. All right. So here, this is what we need to think of. So we have files. So now, okay, we decide where we want to store these files. So now let me clear this, just this part. All right. So now we can clear this one. All right. We can go back here. So now when storing these files, so now I can see a file system or a storage system, any storage system. All right, let's move away from the database and let's move away from the server, because storing the files on the server, at some point we might reach, for example, the server's storage limit, and this will slow the application. Also having everything on the same server, like the application is using the disk or the memory to use to read, or like to do what needs to be done. And also we have a file system or data stored on the server. This will also impact the application. When it comes to the database, also like having so many files, or like storing the files in a binary format into the database, we might have some limits when it comes, for example, to the size of the file, or even the format of the file. All right. And also this, with the time, this might also slow down the database. So like here we are running always into some performance issues. All right. So just here to make this one, I will just move it down. Oops. Nope. All right. Okay. So now we are talking about this. All right. So here one of the solutions is to use a storage system, or like a storage solution. The storage solution, I would like to store my data in here. So here I will just store files, or like store media. generally speaking. I want to store my media in this storage system. Again, we need to think about something else. So now let's go back to our front-end application. Now I want to fetch a list of games. All right. So here I want to get the list of games. So the list of games, I will go to the app and then fetch the data from the database from here, return it to the application. And then for each element, I need to go to my storage system and get the data, or like get the link or the media link for it, right? Okay. All right, maybe you can give me another solution. So like when I store the data, I just can save the link into the database. Okay, that's fine. So like I'm anticipating also your questions. So let's go back here. So we have the data, we have the link. Now we are returning the list of games to the front end. Now the front end, what needs to do? To display a picture. So the front end of the browser needs to connect to this storage system in order to fetch the picture and display it in here. So this is fine. This is totally fine, but this might take some time. Why? Why it might take some time? So the pictures, here, because here we are focusing on the game side or even the profile. So we have a list of pictures. So each game has a picture, okay? But how often this picture will change? I would say not so frequently, okay? So like it might change once a year, once every 2 years, something like that. So what about having something in between in here? So we have something in between my storage and my front end. Okay, and I will fetch from this one, like I will fetch my data or my pictures or my media from this object right here, okay? Or from this box right here. So this means what? That this box will connect to my storage, and then I will have my pictures in here, and then my pictures will go to the front end, okay? So here we will, what we call that, we call it a CDN. All right, so maybe I will write it in a different color, or I can clean this. All right. By the way, you will find the video available just after we finish our live for today. So we call this a CDN, or a content delivery network. One of the main features of a CDN, first, what like the features or like the advantages of using a CDN. First, security. Why we talk about security? So when we talk about security, when using a CDN, so you do not have a direct access to the storage system, okay, or to the storage solution generally speaking. So we don't have a direct access. We need to go through another thing or another solution or another mediator in order to access this data from here. Okay, so this is the first thing. The second is performance. So let me put it this way, or like I will put it as a plus. Just these are the advantages. Performance. So when we talk about performance, so one of the features or like the functionalities of a CDN is caching. Caching, what do I mean? I mean, for example, I have a picture with a name x.png, for example. This x.png, it will be stored or like cached in a way in here, okay, in the CDN. So now when I want to fetch the data, because when we talk about storage, we are also reading from a disk, all right? So like this is not a database, but a disk. Okay, so we are also reading from a disk, and reading from a disk takes time. Okay, reading from a disk takes time. So here we will be reading from a CDN. Okay, so like reading from a CDN, let's say for example, reading from here to here takes just an example, takes 1 second. Reading from here to here, it takes, for example, 0.5 seconds. So imagine 0.5 seconds multiplied by the number of pictures that is required or fetched by the front end. Okay, so like I guess you see the number. And also this will reduce the load on the storage and on the disk itself. Okay, So these are also the advantages of a CDN. All right, so let's get enough with this. Do you have any questions so far? If you have any question, just feel free to post it in the chat. Okay. Let me have some coffee. So like I'm really happy about this bootcamp because it's a special format of live stream. So like I can feel more free when I discuss or interact with you. Okay. Do you have any questions? Just let me know in the comment if you have any questions. Please feel free and go ahead. Okay, so now let's clean this. So let's clean this one, and then let's make it, or like let's draw it in a better and more in a clean way. Okay. Okay. So I guess like this is clean. This one, and this one. Let's leave the front end. Okay. Is everything clear so far? Is everything is fine, or like is everything is clear? I hope so. If you have anything which is not clear, just let me know and I will explain it. All right, so here we mentioned we have, or like we want to have a CDN. So this is my CDN. And also, yeah, I guess I can keep this one. Okay, so this is my CDN. So my CDN will be reading from my file storage, and the CDN will be connected to the front end. Okay, so here just from one keyword, from one, oops, I think I deleted the text in here. Maybe I need to go and do Command Z until it's back. Okay, sorry for that. I didn't notice. All right, okay, I see it's from there. Okay. Okay, sorry for that. I just didn't notice that I deleted everything. Okay. And we are good. Okay. So let me try to fix this again. So this is our CDN. And then let's group this one, put it in here, and now let's link it to this one. All right, so now just from something, like from a keyword in the specification, look what I designed so far. All right, so like what you suggested in the comments earlier, it was just about, okay, let's have a database, let's have HTTP, let's have HTTPS, let's have a use case, let's have this and that. But we did not, or like you did not think about the real, or like the real parts, or like the real building blocks of an application. Okay, you were only thinking about this part. You are focusing only about this part, but this is not the most important. This is the less important. Okay, this is not important at all, because you can implement this one using any technology, because you just need to interact with the database, process data, fetch data, and that's it. Okay, and that's it. But the most important is like when it comes to the performance of the application, the security of the application, and all this stuff. All right, talking about security. Now, when it comes to security, what we see here, so like we see here, adding a comment requires a connected user. User can manage his profile. So here we have a profile, we have a connected user, we have also an admin, we have a user, we have things that we can talk about two things. All right, so here we can talk about two things: the authorization and authentication. All right, and authentication. Okay, so these are two different things. Sorry, it's really written in a bad way. Let me just type it. So here, as I mentioned, we talk about authorization and authentication. So these are two different things. So when we talk about authentication, is what we call a view. Sorry, I just pronounced it in a Tunisian way, but with the WIW, or like a view, maybe I think it's also pronounced this way. The view is who. Like, do we know the user who wants to connect to our system, or like who wants to use our system? So like this is about the authentication. Do we know this user? All right. But now when we talk about authorization, can this user perform this action? All right. Can he or can you perform this action within my application? All right. And here, as I mentioned, so we said it's who is who. All right. So this is the who is who, and this can this user perform this action. But when it comes to this, first we need to make sure that that this is known, that this guy or this user, we need to make sure that this user is known. All right. We need to know, do we know this user before? If we know this user, we can check if he can perform this or not. But if we don't know him, we don't even need to check, because he will be rejected from the beginning. All right. So now I hope this is clear. We can move on to this part. So now how would I think about securing my application? Or how would you think about securing your application? Just please don't tell me Keycloak from the first answer. Just tell me what or like how would you think about securing an application? All right, so like security generally speaking. Let's go back to the chat and let's have a talk right now. Now tell me how would you think about this, about security? I'm waiting for your answers. Can anyone answer me? How would you think? How would you manage? How would you handle the security of a system? Okay, Spring security. All right. So here, transport layer and application layer security. Can you please develop a little bit, because I did not get your answer? Spring security. Okay, Carlos, but okay, now I'm the customer, or I'm your project manager, product manager, or whatever, and I tell you, no, I don't want to use Spring. Use, I don't know, like C#, use anything. Okay, Richard, JWT. Yeah, okay, JWT is one good solution. Okay, one solution that we can think about. All right. Anything else? Suggest me something else. Can you think about anything else? Come on, bootcampers, come on. All right, OAuth. Okay, so Richard, now I would like you to answer me why you thought about OAuth. All right, I just want the reasons. I just want to know the reasons. All right, just let me know why. Okay, JWT is a good option. Maybe Cognito. Okay, yeah, why not? We can AWS Cognito might be also a good solution, which is fine. Yeah. Any other suggestion? Also, for Carlos, why you said Cognito? Why should I use Cognito? Why? I need to know the why. Not just, okay, there is a nice tool, we can use it, or like we won't use it or something, but we need the why. The same for Randa. Why using Keycloak? Why using Keycloak? Okay, OAuth user can register using Gmail or socials. Okay, fine. But let's say, for example, I as a customer, I don't care about that. I don't need it. I don't care about it. Okay, just try to develop a little bit more. You can integrate it with any application. Yeah, you are talking about Cognito. Yeah, like any other solution, you can integrate it with any other application. So let me, or like, give me more reasons. Give me more convincing reasons. Okay, transport layer, HTTPS, and application layer security, Keycloak or Okta. Okay, so you mean by the transport layer? Okay, so HTTPS, this when it comes to production, for example, it's fine. Like of course, like we need to use HTTPS. And for the application layer security, Keycloak or Okta. Okay, why Keycloak or why Okta? Why we need to use Keycloak? Why we need to use Okta? This is what I need. Like I want like to if you choose a tool, for example, or a solution, why should I use this? What are the reasons or the arguments to use such a solution or like such a tool? This is what is the most important when it comes to real life and working with a team and having the committee of the architects of the company or of the company that you are working with, and then you say, okay, let's use Okta, let's use Cognito, let's use Keycloak, let's use this and that. The first question they will ask you about why would I use it? Okay, whether if it's free, if it's paid, it's not a problem, but why would I use this tool? Right? This is the most important. Okay, Okta is open source, Keycloak is open source, and Okta is licensed. Okay, we don't have a money issue, so like the customer has a lot of money, and he can say, okay, I can pay for Okta for an Okta license. So it's not a problem. But from the application wise, why would I need, or why should I use Keycloak or Okta or Cognito or anything? Okay. Carlos, you can have a lot of options to log in within Cognito. Yeah, all right. So I will try to make this clear for you, because also like the most important thing for me is to whether if you are working now or you're a student or looking for a job or anything, I just want to make you ready, or like to not to make you 100% ready, just to be honest with myself and with you, but I want to prepare you for the real life, for real life, because when it comes to real life, everything is totally different. All right, so now let's talk about security. All right, so when we talk about security, we talk about few things. All right, we talk about few things. First, we talk about users. We talk about roles. We talk about permissions. We talk about groups, maybe. We talk about handling tokens. All right, so like authentications and authentication. We talk about authorization. We talk about authorization. We talk about login. We talk about logout. We talk about so many things. All right. So also like with users, roles, permissions, groups, we can talk about a lot of things. All right. So we can talk about so many things in here. So when it comes to this part, only by seeing this is just the skin. All right. This is just the skin. We did not dive deep into all this. So what we need to do, So what we need to do here, we need to manage users, okay? So we need to manage users. We need to assign a role. We need to assign permissions. Also, like we need to assign and handle and manage groups. Also, a group can have permissions. A group can have a role. And a user can be part of a group or not. All right, so like a user can be, why it's typing this way. A user can belong to a group or not. Okay, if the user is part of a group, so he will inherit all the roles and permissions of that group. Okay, if not, the user can have roles and permissions on his own. Then what we have tokens. So like managing the tokens, what are the payload, or what is the payload, or what are the data that we need to put into this token? Are we allowed to do that? Is it a best practice? Is it a good practice to have the payload ABC in my token or not? How can I manage, or like how can I check if the token is still valid, if the token is invalid, if the token is expired, and so forth. Also, when it comes to authentication, every time like I need to check, is the user authenticated? Is the user authorized? Also, I need to handle login. I need to handle logout for the different users. Also, for example, let's go back here, locking a user, enabling a user, and so many other things. All right. So here, when we just talk about this, if we want to implement this on our own, this is a whole project. This is a full project that they need to implement just to manage and handle the users. All right. So having users, roles, permissions, groups for the token, and also for the authentication, I need to make sure that the user is part of a specific group for the authorization. If he's part of this specific group, he should inherit all the roles and permissions. For this permission, is he allowed to inherit from it? So for example, if the user is part of many groups, he will inherit so many permissions. So like I need to take care of the duplication, or like the duplicate permissions and roles, and even the intersection of permissions and roles, and all this stuff. So like you see, like even talking about it is like, it really causes me a headache. All right, it really causes a headache. But so here, when I say so comes the solution. So the solution, and the solution is any of the solutions that you already proposed. Keycloak, OAuth 2, or like any OAuth provider, like we call them, or we call all of them auth providers. Cognito, Okta. We can use any solution that will take care of all of this for me. All right, any solution or any application or any tool that can take care of this for me. So like I no longer, or like I don't need to manage users, to create roles, permissions, groups, enabling, disabling users, especially when it comes to tokens, how to manage the tokens, how to handle the tokens. I really don't want this headache in my application. So that's why here, when it comes to security, of course, like all the other companies, when it comes like to a real application or a real company, we always try to use the OAuth 2, or like an OAuth provider or an auth provider. All right, so here for our case, for our application, okay, so all right, so now I will just try to redraw this part. Okay, so now when it comes to security, maybe this color. Okay, so when it comes to security, so here we can use an auth provider. So I will not say any like I will not say Keycloak, I will not say I don't know, Okta or anything, but an auth provider. All right, so this is the most important thing for me, is using an auth provider. And when it comes to auth provider, as I mentioned before, we will like get rid of the user management, the roles, handling the tokens, sessions, and all this stuff. All right, so like everything will be done on the auth provider level. So now all I need to do is to link my front-end application to the auth provider, as well as my backend application. I need to link it or to connect it to my auth provider. So in this case, when a request is coming from anywhere, I will go and check my auth provider. Is this user authenticated? Is he authorized to do this or not? All right. So like independently from the technology that I will be using. So like just think about what really matters. It's not the technology, it's not Java, it's not Spring, it's not anything, but how I would design an application. All right. Now, something which is specific here. All right. So like there is something specific here. So here we have a user can manage his profile. Okay. So when the user can manage his profile, this means what? So like this means if my auth provider, if he already provides me or like gives me a UI to manage the user, or like where the user can manage his information, this is totally fine. But sometimes some auth providers, they do not give this option, so I need to implement the UI myself. Okay. So also this is not a problem. Sometimes also the auth provider gives more options, or it gives more capabilities than that I would like to give to my users. So I want to do my UI, or like I want to implement my own UI for the user management on my own. Okay. So here what I need. So like this is what I will be writing right now is Keycloak specific. Okay. Also, like I think we can use it within Okta. With Cognito I did not try, but with so this is something specific for Keycloak. Okay. I think there is again an issue with the stream. Just let me know if you hear me well, if everything is clear for you. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Okay, so here when it comes to this part, so like here I'm mainly talking about this part, like here manage user information, or like user profile. All right, so like I would like to check the user profile, or like to manage my like I want to give the possibility to the users to manage their profiles. This is the correct one. So for that, what I need, so like for us, whether we use Keycloak or any other auth provider, what we want to use, I want my application to be able to listen. Here I want my application to be able to listen or get the user information. All right, I want it to be able to get the user information. Okay, so here when we get the user information, I want, like when I need to create my UI, I need to interact with the auth provider API. Okay, so here we have listen. Okay, so we will be listening. So this is listening. All right, and then the application needs to interact like using the REST API of this auth provider in order to update, or in order to do whatever, like to communicate with this auth provider. So when it comes to auth provider, like from the backend side, we need first like to connect our application to the auth provider in order like to manage users, handle users, and do all this stuff. Then when a user gets created, or like if an action or an event happens on the auth provider side, I want to be able to listen to that and get the information from there. All right. Then I want to update my user information. I want to do this and that. So I would like to interact with the auth provider REST API in order to communicate, or like do anything I want or anything I need. All right. So do you have any questions about this part before we move on? Do you have any questions? So just let me wait for the questions, and then we will move. I think the final part. No, not the final yet. We are not done yet. If you don't have questions, just let me know, or like just type no, we don't have questions, so I can move on. If everything is clear, just let me know. Okay, perfect. So I'm really happy that everything is clear for you. Nice. So now let's move to the next part. So the next part here, what we spoke about, like we mentioned here something called notification. Okay. So for the notification, how can I notify a user? Like notify a user about anything. Okay. So here we will mainly talk about real-time notification. So when something, let me try to answer Carlos' question first. Is the auth provider a middleware? No, technically it's not a middleware. It's like a full application that manages and handles the security, the users, authentication, authorization, and all this stuff. Like it's a resource server. Like I can define for such an application or for such an API, I want to have this list of users, this list of groups. Users can do this, can do that. They can have this role, this permission, and so on and so forth. I will explain everything in details when we come to this part. All right, now going back to the notification. So I want to notify my users when something happens. I want them to be aware if something is going on. So like having, for example, someone added a comment to a game that he's interested in. Someone did something like that. So here we will talk about, first of all, the real-time notification, and then we will talk about the email notification. Okay, so here, yeah, for CD, he asked what is the meaning of FE and his role in the schema. So thank you, Sergey, for answering this question. So FE is front end, is like a shortcut or like a short writing for front end. All right, so now when it comes to notification, so what do we mean by having a notification? So first, like I want to have something like this. I want to have a queue. All right, so like I want to have a queue. Why I can have a queue? Because I want the communication when it comes to notification to be asynchronous. All right, asynchronous. This means that here I will subscribe to a queue, and then the backend will push to a queue. All right, so like when I push something, the backend will receive a notification, or like will know that something is already in here. So like when I push, I don't know, any type of message, so the front end or this FE will know that there is some message or some data here in this queue. So I will consume it and use it. And now when it comes to the technology, like technology, not the code, not the language, but here we are talk about WebSockets. All right, so here we talk about WebSockets. So we will implement, or like we need to implement a WebSocket solution. So now how, or like what should I choose when it comes to this one? So here we have so many options. All right, not so many, but we have few options. Whether we implement our own WebSocket solution, so like we can implement our own WebSocket server, and then we just push, and the front end will connect to that one, and he will subscribe to that one, and then pull all the notifications and display and do whatever we need, or whatever needs to be done with that. Also, we can use like a ready-to-use solution, like for example, like Firebase. FB for Firebase, not Facebook, not FBI, but FB for Firebase. We can use, for example, Firebase solution. Okay, we can integrate Firebase with our application, and then we can use it as a notification, or like a real-time notification system. Okay, but for our case, to be honest, I would like to focus on implementing our own WebSocket solution, because it's going to be really fun. It's going to be something important to know. Also, like we will see the advantages and maybe the disadvantages of using a WebSocket. What are the things that we need to take care of when using a WebSocket? What do we need to consider when it comes to that? All right, so now for the email notifications, in here. So for the email notification, we have two options: whether to have like an email server, or like an email service, not server, an email service, like for example using AWS SNS. Okay, so we can use, just here I'm just talking about the technology. That's why this is what I mean by using an email or like a mailing service. All right, so for example, using AWS SNS, and then all we need to do, just okay, tell this guy I want to send something, and it will be sent there. But again, we will implement our email notification, or like email service our own. So here it will, like, it can be whether an independent application, so like it can be like a full application working independently, or it might be also like a part of the existing or of the main application, because this one, it's not so critical, it's not something so complicated. But when it comes to this one, we have two options. All right, so like if we want to have it in a separate project, or like a separate application running on the server, or on the production, or like running, generally speaking, we have two options: whether to have a REST communication. So here we have a REST communication, but this REST communication, it will be async. All right, async, this means that I don't care about the answer which will come from the email service. All right, so I will just notify the email service that I have an email that I need to send. I will send the payload, send the data that I need to send to whom I want to send the email, and that's it. All right, so like just using REST, but in an async way. Or what we can do also, we can have a queue. So for example, we can use RabbitMQ here. Like we can have a queue. I push from here and I subscribe from here. When I have a new email to be sent, I just push my new email with the data, and then the email service will consume this one and then perform and send the email to the user. So here we have so many options. We can think about it. We can choose later on what is the best option for us, or like what is whether the easiest, whether the funniest, whether the most important to see, or maybe we can see both of them. So it's totally fine. And then we can choose which one to use within the application. We can implement both, and then we can choose which one to use within the application, like in the final result. So now let me go back here. So meanwhile, do you have a question? Again, if no questions, just type no. Okay, so if you don't have question, I will go back here to the chat. Even if you don't have questions, what do you think about what I just explained? Starting from few lines of a specification or an application specification, and coming to such an architecture diagram or an application diagram. What do you think about that? Did you imagine that from this we will reach this application or this architecture? Just answer me. Like, what do you think about that? Like, did you imagine it's gonna be this way? What did you imagine exactly? Well, not exactly, because like I think we cannot explain it in just in few lines. But what do you think about that? Here, let me answer a few questions. RabbitMQ is a WebSocket implementation. They are alike. They are a little bit similar, like from the global picture, because both of them, they are async. But RabbitMQ is a message broker. WebSocket, I think it's something similar to a message broker, but I will explain it in detail when we come to this part. All right, I will explain it really in detail. From Carlos, in email service, we are going to work with queues, Rabbit, and Kafka. As I mentioned, we can. I think Kafka is too huge for such a functionality, but I think we can go with RabbitMQ. But if you want to learn Kafka, I have a really detailed video about Kafka. Okay, but yeah, we will implement both. Okay, we will implement both. So Carlos, could you repeat the question again, please? Yeah. So the question is from the specification that we wrote in the beginning, when I was telling you about the application that we will implement, as an admin, I want to add a game, do this, do that, do this, do that. Did you imagine that we will reach, or like we will come up with this application diagram, right? Like, did you expect this this diagram? So now I just want to know what is your reaction about what we just designed. So like this is gonna be the design of the application. What is your reaction about this design? So the others, can you try to answer my question? Can you try to answer my question? Like, did you expect it to be this way? What did you expect, and what do you think about what you saw and what I just explained? Anyone wants to add something? Okay, so here we have something from someone. I did not imagine the design to be detailed. I think what you imagined is like having, or like just designing the database and implementing and doing this and that. But I think, okay, so like if you don't have any, okay, so maybe let's see the interactions of the others, and then I will read all of them, and then I will answer. I did not, so from Carlos, I did not expect a lot of items in the diagram. Is the auth providers, Firebase, email service? It's an interesting diagram. Okay, I'm happy that you think so. I'm happy that I surpassed your expectations, because now, like when I will explain the last part of today's session, also like I will explain to you so many things. What about the others? Just let me know. What about the others? All right, if no one is going to interact, let me go back here and let's continue. Okay, so here, as you saw, we started from few lines of business requirements. A customer wants to implement an application. All right. Someone wants to implement an application. A customer, he has money, he wants to implement an application. He did not give so much details. He just mentioned, I want to do this and that. I want my application to have this and that. I want my application to support this and that. First, from asking few questions, like, for example, what is a game for you? What do you need to do? This and that. But now, when it comes to us, software engineers, software architects, software developers, it's our role to ask questions. We need to ask questions. Why we need to ask questions? Because we need to think about the application. We need to think about the performance of the application. We need to think what the application should do. What the application should do. How to design a robust application. So here we started from just an application and a database. So we really, like in the beginning, we really don't care about the database. Designing the database is the easiest part. Trust me, is the easiest part. But coming up and thinking about all this part is the most interesting and the most important part of designing an application. Because when we started with the game, we thought, okay, I want to store some media, I want to store some files, so I need a storage system. And then, okay, we might have within the team like a discussion, okay, let's do it on the server, let's do it on the database, and so on and so forth. But we need also to take care, and we need also to take into considerations the downsides of each solution. Because also, like when we said, okay, let's use a storage system, and then the front end will retrieve the data from that storage system. So we kind of said, okay, it's gonna also like have a downtime, or like we might have some performance issues, because every time we need to go and refetch the data. Also, our system might be open for public, so we need to secure it a bit more. So that's why we said, okay, we can have a CDN in between. All right, so like we can set up a CDN in between. So CDN, we will have security, so like our storage system is not public anymore. Also, the second thing, like we will have cache, so this will improve our performance, and so forth. All right, and then when we came to the application, we started talking about auth providers, how to manage users, how the front end is going to communicate. But here, like while talking about all this stuff, except for this part when we came to Keycloak, because I just mentioned it, we did not talk about any technology. We did just name anything. Like we didn't name AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or implementing our, I don't know, like our hybrid cloud or anything. We were just talking about building blocks of the application. Also, something that I just forgot, I just remembered it right now. Here, here we know that we are fetching, or like we will be fetching data from the database. All right. But for some data, the data will not change for quite some time. Okay, so like the data will not change for some time. This means what? So for example, like the user or an admin will not be creating, because also like this should be a question that we need to ask to the customer. The customer, he will not be creating games every day, or like every second or every minute. So what we can do here, we can have a cache. All right. So here we can have a cache. So a cache here. So what is the role of the cache? So it will fetch, well, the cache will not fetch the data from the database, but when we store the data from the database, maybe let me correct this one so it will not, it should not be confusing. So when we fetch the data from the database and then we come back here, we will store it in a cache system. Then when we ask for the same data, we check here, or like, do we have this data in the cache? If yes, we return it. Otherwise, we will fetch it from the database and store it again. If something gets changed, we can wipe the cache and then refresh, or like reset the cache once again. All right. So this is also a part, or like an interesting and an important part into improving the performance of the application. Because let's just imagine fetching one query, or like fetching data from a database take 1 second. All right. When we reach the database, fetching it from the cache, it will take 0.0.0.1 seconds. All right. So like this is super fast. Okay, and then we will come to the technical choices later on. All right, so let me go back here. So from few lines, this is not detailed. All right, like it does not contain so much details. Also, the application is so simple. So like what we draw in here, it's just something simple like that. So like having a search, displaying a few games in a card, and having comments. Like, did you imagine that the application, or like the designing such an application, would it be this way? I'm 100% sure like it was not, because like I know my community first, and I know what most people, what do they think about. All right. So having something like this, so as I mentioned, for me, I want to push you and I want to teach you, and I want you to learn how to design an application, because this is the most important part, how to design an application. Then designing a database, this is something also that we will learn. All right. But designing the full application, or the global overview of the application, is really important and is the most important part. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. I will go back to the chat if you have messages, and then we can move to the final part of today's stream. All right, so from Richard, it's interesting to see how individual components interact with each other. Yeah, we will see, and it's gonna be super easy, trust me, but just designing and like deciding the components that we need to use, or like the components that we need to implement is the hardest part, to be honest. Okay, so from Randa, I didn't expect this, especially all about performance and security. It's amazing. I'm really happy that you think that, and I'm really happy that you learned something. Like, my goal is that each time, or like each session, I want you to learn something new. All right, so like today we started with some architecture, and then we will start also, like we will deep dive also into the code and all this stuff. From Carlos, could you repeat me what is a CDN, its functionality? I did not listen how that works because I enter late. Well, I can answer you. Also, like, this is an occasion to say that all the sessions, they are recorded, and also they will be they are also available in my channel. So just go to lists, to playlists, and you will find a playlist called fullstack. I will share it with you on Discord. So also, like, you will have all the videos, and it will be also like with a membership access. So like it's only accessible for like for boot campers. It will not be publicly available. All right. Do you have any other questions, anything, or like whatever? Do you want to add anything? Just let me know. Just write me in the chat. Otherwise, let me go through the like. Let's conclude this, and let me announce how we are going to continue with this. Do you have any questions, or like even a feedback? Like, if you don't have questions, if you don't have anything, also a feedback is really welcome. What do you think about today's session? Was it okay? Did you learn something new? Was my explanation clear? Just try to let me know, so I can improve. I can, like, if you don't give me feedback, I cannot improve. So I'm waiting for you. Of course, if you don't have anything to add, just write no, so I can move on. So here, to answer to Prasad, which one we need to go for, Okta or Keycloak? So we will go for Keycloak just because it's for free. Okta because it requires a license. We can also, or like I can publish even a public video on Okta, how to integrate and how to use Okta. So, but for this time we will be using Keycloak. From Richard, your explanation were clear. Thank you so much. Happy you think so, and happy that everything was clear. I don't have any questions so far. I think this was a great class. Happy to know that. So, do you have any resources, articles, books, or a piece of advice to go in depth in the system? Your explanation gave me excitation to go in depth. Okay, I will try to, next time I will try, just remind me, I will try to provide you a few links. Also, I think like humbly, what you will learn from this bootcamp should be really a good entry point and a good deep dive into designing this stuff. Also, like, if you want to Google it on your own, just try to type design system or application design. Or application system design or system design, and you can get a lot of results. But the next time I'll try to come back with some resources. Okay, so from Carlos, maybe some books for studying. I will try to do that next time, because like honestly now I don't have anything on my mind. All right. So your explanation is wonderful and detailed to the fullest. I'm really happy to know that. I'm really happy that you understood, you are able to follow, and everything was clear. Okay, nice and complete introduction. Thank you so much, Sergey. But anyone specific reason for Keycloak if the interview asks us to justify them? As I mentioned, just almost all the auth providers, they work in the same way. Okay. Sometimes from one company to another, it's a matter of having already some auth providers, like some of them they want to use AWS or like Amazon IAM identity and access management or any other tool, just because they use it since quite some time and they already have the system set up for it, and so on and so forth. But when designing an application from scratch, just this is the information that you can get from the customer himself. Just ask him, okay, for the authentication, are you willing to pay for a license? Like, can you pay for a license? I don't know, like $1,000 per year, per month, and so on and so forth. Because we have this solution, it has more options comparing to the open source. We don't need to maintain anything. We don't need to upgrade. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do that. It's a cloud version. It's an on-prem version, and so on and so forth. So like, just bring all your arguments, put them on the table, present them to the customer, and if he is willing to pay for a license, just go for it. But before deciding for that one, what are the disadvantages or the limits of that open source or that free tool? Okay. Also, sometimes not using Keycloak, for example, just an example, not using Keycloak within a company, sometimes it's with the policy and the politics of the company itself. The company, for example, they don't want to use any open source tools. For example, you have companies, they don't want to use Docker desktop. They force you, or like they ask you to use Podman, for example, instead, okay, for containerization. So like, answering this question, like, this question does not really have an exact answer or like a scientific answer, but it just depends. That's it. It just really depends. All right. Any other questions? Do you have any other questions or feedbacks or anything? Just right. Otherwise, I'll just move to the final part of today's session. And yeah, we can also, like, then or like afterwards, we can conclude this. All right. So if you don't have questions, so like the plan from now on, let me go back here. So what we did today was a global overview about the application, because I know maybe like some of you, you had expectations about implementing, I don't know, like implementing Facebook or like implementing Instagram or something like that. But I just want here, like, from I wanted to make it clear that even if the application is so small, but behind there are a lot of things that you can learn, a lot of things that you can implement. All right. So this is what I wanted to show you. Also, like, I introduced you briefly to the application. So next time I will try to prepare some documentations and also some slides. Yeah, this is the word I was looking for. Next time I will prepare some slides, and we will kind of redo all this, but in a cleaner way. Okay, so like, we will do this in a cleaner way. We will redesign the application, but like, because this one is not really clear, it was just scratching. So yeah, like, the next time we will start from scratch. We will sorry, I'm losing the words. I'm really sorry for that. Yes, you can have this drawing page. So first, let me save it. Let me export the image. Okay, so let me put it as a PNG. I will upload it on Discord. Okay, I will upload it to Discord. All right, so here, maybe just put it to the desktop, and here bootcamp and today's date. Okay, so I have it. So it's now it's saved. Okay, so yes, so let me just finish this and then I will go back to the chat. So the next time we will start like from a clean setup, a clean everything. Also like with the time I will let you know and I will tell you what we need to set up in order to have our application, or like to have the same working environment, like having Docker, for example. If you don't want to use Docker, what are the alternatives, and so on and so forth, like setting up the IntelliJ, what are the plugins that you need to install in order to have everything as I do. And like you code and like you will be coding in the same way. As I mentioned, like we will have slides for the application and I will try to detail this more and more. And also like together we will redraw the diagram for this application. And then after that, after designing the application, or like the global application, we will start by designing the database. All right, so like we will start designing the database and then we will implementing the backend. Like meanwhile, like while implementing the backend, we will need, for example, like when we come to the cache part, we will have a dedicated session about Redis, for example, and like all the caching tool that we'll be using. So like we will have dedicated session for that tool. And when I talk about dedicated session or sessions, it might be like more than one session. So like we will have some slides, some theoretic parts, also like how to and also like hands-on, like how we can integrate it within our application, like the application that we are implementing. Also like when it comes to storing the data. So we will start by setting up an AWS account, or like I will try at least to guide you as much as possible how to set up your AWS, how to set up an IAM role, or like how to create a user, how to create or like to set up an S3 bucket, and how to link the bucket to again to the CDN, or for the CDN it's gonna be Cloud Front from AWS. So like AWS Cloud Front, and then also like we will also like set up the auth provider. So here we will be using Keycloak. And I will show you how to set up like everything about Keycloak. All right, how to set up Keycloak, what is Keycloak, how to create a realm, how to create a user, groups, roles, and so on and so forth. And then we will be using Keycloak for the application. Also like how we can set up, or like how we can test the application. Also like we will have API documentation. So like this is obvious. So of course we will have it. How we test the application, only the API from using the Open API or the Swagger documentation. Also when it comes to implementing a WebSocket. So this one I will just delay it a little bit after implementing the UI. I just want to show you how we can implement something which has a dependency from the front end and the back end. Like just want to put you into a situation that you are working in a company and you are asked, or like you have a task to implement this, how you can design it from back end and front end wise. Also like I've already mentioned the database, and when, for example, when implementing the API, when it comes to the profile, or like to the user profile side, we will have a look and like we will see what is a Keycloak Listener, because even like this topic, or like the Keycloak Listener topic, is not a small topic. It's a topic which is very important, because first like we need to implement a listener. So like a listener is not a class, so like it's gonna be a full application, a full Java application, and then we need to upload and configure this listener within Keycloak. And then we need to make sure that when something happens on the auth provider, I want to make sure that also my API, or like my backend, is aware of this change, and that the listener is doing exactly what he's asked for, or like what he's supposed to do. All right, then also like when it comes to, as I mentioned, when it comes to the user profile, I want to update, for example, like the user wants to update his username, his last name, his first name, and so on and so forth. So that's right, like we will have kind of a copy of the user table in the database, but this user table is like this user information is already on Keycloak side, so we need to update Keycloak, otherwise we will like we risk having data inconsistency. All right. So we need again to learn and to know how to communicate with the auth provider REST API, and also like the thing that I promise you that we will be doing. So for example, when it comes to this part, if I don't know how to do it, or like even if I know how to do it, I will teach you how I would learn to do it. Okay, so how I would learn to implement or like to use the Keycloak REST API, how I would fetch and search into the documentation, how I would like knock my head and like dig deep into the documentation, how I read the documentation just to implement something that I don't know. All right. So yeah, and of course, like everything and all the code will be available on GitHub. So like it will be available on GitHub, and then of course once we are done with all this part, like the backend part, we will move to the front end. So for the front end, we'll be using Angular. So for now it will be Angular 18, sorry, not 19. So it's going to be Angular 18, maybe plus, if for example from here to there, or like when the time of implementing the front end comes, maybe Angular 19 is released, or like Angular 20 or whatever. So we will be implementing this one, or like we'll be using that version, sorry. So for the front end, like we will see how to implement, or like how to have a modular application. So here I think you all know that Angular 18 does not support modules anymore, but I will show you how we can have this. So like it's not gonna be something modular like in a classic way, but it's gonna be something like how we can have a similar thing within Angular 18 plus. But before starting Angular 18, or like starting implementing the front end, of course we will see what are the new changes of Angular 18, what has changed, maybe what are the reasons behind, what are the advantages, how can I adjust and adapt things. For example, for Keycloak, all the videos that I released, they work with Angular 16, but they like I saw a lot of comments from people saying that they are struggling, or like maybe they are blocked when they want to integrate Keycloak with Angular 18. So like I will show you all this. All right. So like even when we implement something, I will try to point, this is how it was done, or like this is how it is done in Angular 16, and this is how it should be done in Angular 18 plus. Right. So, and of course, like every time we need something like Redis, for example, like a database, Keycloak, and all WebSocket, for example, and all this stuff, or maybe like RabbitMQ if we want to have an asynchronous communication, I will show you how to set up this, how to make everything work. Once we are done with the implementation of the full application, so like once the application is completely done, then we will move to something which is important, which is CI/CD pipelines. So here, let me write it in a good way. So like CI/CD. All right. So like we will implement a pipeline. Also, like of course, within the application, we will see unit testing, we will see integration tests, end-to-end tests, and all this stuff. So like all this, for me, like it's something given, and we will see it. And then like we will have, or like we will set up a CI/CD pipeline, where like we will have different steps from the code until going to deploying, well, like whether deploying the application, because we will see whether deploying the application, or just pushing, for example, the image to Docker Hub, not GitHub, but to Docker Hub. All right. So all this we will see it together. So like we can decide this later on. And yep, I think I did not forget anything, or like even if I forgot something, we are still together. So I will let you know if what we need to do. All right, so this is the plan. This is what we will be doing from now on. So like, okay. Also like this, how the structure will be. So like, it will not be, or like, I will not being implementing something and then moving to the chat, implementing something, moving to the chat, but I will structure the bootcamp in a way. So for example, when it comes to designing the database, I will start designing the database, explaining why I'm thinking about this, why I want to have this relation, why doing this, why that, why this, why that. And by the end of the part, I will give you the time to ask your questions. All right. So like, I will give you the enough time to ask all the questions. Like, we can have an open discussion together. Why maybe I did this, why I had this kind of relationship, why I had this and that. So like, I will try to answer all this, all your questions. And this is how it's gonna be. All right. So I hope everything is clear. Also, just as I mentioned the last time, like when I announced the bootcamp. So the bootcamp is gonna take a few months. So like, it's not gonna be 1 or 2 weeks, to be honest, because even when you see all these components that we will be building, I think, or I believe that you know that this is not something that we can build in 2 or 3 sessions, or like 2 or 3 weeks. So like, this is gonna take some time. So I hope that the people, or like the ones who will start with me, they continue with me, because like I'm really enjoying this. Yeah. Also, the second thing. So please go ahead and first. Okay. Before going ahead and doing that. All right. So guys, we are 9 or 10 people assisting this live together since 2 hours, but I saw only one guy liking the video. Just go ahead and like the video, leave a comment, do something, like help this video get a better reach. So now I would like to see 9 comments at least, 9 links at least. Okay, so not links, oh my god. I want to see 9 likes. Okay, so just go ahead, hit the like button. All right. So this is what I wanted to tell you about. This is the format of the bootcamp. This is how the bootcamp is going to be. Also, like, I would really appreciate if you invite your friends. If you tell your friends about the bootcamp, if you tell your friends about what we will be building all together, invite them to join the channel, invite them to join us, and let's grow. Because like, honestly, for me, I have a dream. I would like to see 100 people following me every week to implement this application. All right. And also, as I mentioned, the live is recorded and it's gonna be immediately available after we are finished with that, or like after we finish. So it's gonna be immediately available. Also, from now on, not today's sessions, but from the next sessions, I will be also I will record the videos, and also like I will try to, if something needs to be cleaned or like edited, I will do some editing and then re-upload the videos once again into a new playlist. I will also I will give you the name. So I will be uploading it to a new playlist. So like this, you will have a cleaner version of the bootcamp. So like just like me posting a normal or like a classic video on my YouTube channel. All right. So like, you can have the access to the live streams, where you can see the chat, the discussion, and also like you will have a clean version that contains only the implementation of the application, and like focusing only on the implementation of the application. So now I will try to answer a few questions. Meanwhile, if you have something, just please go ahead and type it in the chat. Otherwise, if you don't have anything, I would like to say thank you for joining me today. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it with you today. So yeah, and we will start next week. And next week, as always, just enable the notifications on the channel, so you will be able to join me. So CD, can we have your draw pages? Yeah, I already took a screenshot and I will upload it just right away to Discord, into the general channel. Okay, so here from Osborne, I got this little opinion to add to the application. I was wondering if users can send a message to other users within the application, like chat groups, if it's possible. Yeah, this is a cool feature. We can implement it if you want to. We can implement it, but at the end of the bootcamp. So like for now, what we are doing, even for example, like for Osborne, if you want to learn and to know how to implement a group chat application, I already published a video there, so like you can go ahead and watch it. And also, like as I mentioned, I will try to like, if you are willing to continue on this bootcamp, we can implement it by the end of this. But for now, I think it's better to stick to what we already have, because it's already enough and huge to implement. So yeah, I like the idea. We can have a group chat where people can post their opinions. They can speak about games and all this stuff. We will try to have that. I really like the idea. All right, so I guess this is the last question, because I don't see any other comments. From Prasad, are we using Kubernetes? Yes, I think we can also add that. I think we can also add Kubernetes to our application. Yeah, we can do it. We can do it. All right. Do you have any other questions? Also, like I see only 6 likes, by the way. I want to see 9. 9 people are watching. I want to see 9 likes on the video. All right, guys. So again, if you don't have, I would just try to wait a few moments. If you don't have any further questions, any further comments, I hope that you enjoyed today's session, and I hope you learned something, and I hope that you are also excited as I am to implementing this application all together. All right. So if you don't have any other questions or comments, I wish you a good or a nice weekend, and see you next week. Thank you so much.